You don't see a
By the way,
problem here?
long distance swimming, women might actually have the advantage. You can look into that. Yeah.
Maybe long distance swimming,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah. I've looked into it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to file you under part of the problem.
I don't know about you, but this Neil deGrasse Tyson guy, I can't stand him. He's so arrogant. He's so pompous. He's so smug. He hates people who have religious faith, by the way. He makes fun of, oh, how can you believe in a God? Frankly, if you focus on space and the galaxy and planets and stars and where our universe came from, how do you not believe in God? You got to be stupid to not believe in God. And of course, he's become very political over the years. I think he had a Me Too situation several years ago. It's a real get out of jail free card when you've got a really rough Me Too situation. As long as you come out, apologize, and then become a radical leftist, you're fine. Look at Mark Cuban and look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he appeared on Bill Maher. But I got to hand it to Bill Maher. Bill Maher actually called out this naked emperor. The emperor's clothes were obvious for everyone. No one wants to tell Neil that he's a moron, but Bill Maher did it, and it was great.
Scientific American, the magazine. I remember when it was around when I was
grew up with it, yeah.
Their editor had to quit.
I heard about it because she expressed some opinions.
It sure didn't sound scientific.
Okay.
It was a rant on Twitter. I apologize to younger voters that my Gen X is so full of fucking fascists. I'm not for canceling anybody on either side. This is in Scientific American, less than a year ago. Inequity between male and female athletes is the result not of inherent biological differences, but of biases in how they are treated in sports. That's nuts. And it's in Scientific American. And that's why the Democrats lost the election.
Every 20 minutes, you come up with another reason why the Democrats lost.
First of all, you don't watch this show, so you don't know. But you talk as if you do, and you fucking don't. Just don't bullshit me. Engage with the idea here. Scientific American is saying that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal bias.
What you're saying is not Scientific American says that. An editor for Scientific American says that, who no longer has the job.
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
Does she still have her job?
Bill Maher is going to finish this up here, but do you realize how he's either stupid or he's just trying to obfuscate and dodge because he doesn't want to answer the question. But does she still have the job? She lost her job because she went insane on X, screaming about the election and screaming about Generation X and all that stuff. Bill Maher is pointing out a year ago in Scientific American, they published an article saying the only reason WNBA players aren't as good as NBA players is because of sexism. And that's not science. There's nothing scientific about it. And so you're following this, right? Because Neil deGrasse Tyson is not following it. He's trying to act like, well, they published that and she got fired. No, she was celebrated. She was exalted because she posted that about WNBA. So I just want to make sure that you're following what a moron he is.
You don't see a problem
By the way,
here?
long distance swimming, women might actually have the advantage. You can look into that.
Maybe long distance swimming,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah, I've looked into it.
Well, I'm going to file you under part of the problem.
Yeah, good for Bill. So Mr. Science, Mr. Cosmos, Mr. Galaxy, Mr. Planets, Mr. Don't come at me with your climate change denial or transgender science denial. No. Mr. Science can't actually bring himself to say that NBA players are physically superior to WNBA players because he can't bring himself to say that men are physically superior on a whole to women because he's not about science unless it's political science, which isn't really a science, is it? Well, then Neil goes on to the panel, and it gets even worse for him. That this guy is not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination. He's a political polemicist. He does what I do. He has an opinion, and he tries to express it and convince you that he's right, which is fine. Stop saying that you're the master of science. Stop presenting yourself like you've got all the truth. This is why, not only is this why Donald Trump won the election, but this is why people don't trust the CDC or the Surgeon General or the NIH or the FDA or Health and Human Services, any other alphabets you want to throw up there. This is why when people say trust the science, we think of this moron. And our response is, I don't think so. Not today. Not with my children's future at stake.
We're incapable as a species of truly understanding risk. This goes to like vaccines, okay? I don't want to like poke the bear here.
The bear believes in vaccines, just being skeptical of all medical interventions, as everyone should.
99 out of 100 medical interventions, you're not saying I need a second opinion. If you have
It's
polyps
not
in your
99.
colon,
It's not close to 99%.
it's easily 99%.
It is not.
If
This
you
is-
break a femur, you don't get a second opinion
I
on that.
agree, but that's not most things that happen to people.
I'm trying to put credit back to doctors.
Well, he's not doing a good job of it. You recognize, well, I mean, I don't know why Bill Maher, who's usually a pretty good communicator, can say, okay, if you get cancer and the doctor says this, that's not always the right path to take. By the way, how many times, forget about cancer for a second. You go to a doctor and you say, what's going on here? I don't know. We'll run some tests. Here, I'm going to prescribe a drug for you, because that's immediately the answer. We'll find a pharmaceutical. That'll fix the problem. And then you hear about, I've got people in my life. Don't you have people in your life who have gone from doctor to doctor to doctor and they've been wrong? And then finally you find a doctor and says, oh, well, they missed it. It's this. For Christ's sake, the entire show House was based on this. Everybody gets it wrong except House. Now, if every doctor was House and we could just go to House and House could diagnose everything, we'd be fine. But for him to act, 99% of the time, everything is right. Are you kidding me? What world is he living in? And by the way, that right there is misinformation about medicine and science. And by the way, before we go even further on this, please don't take medical advice from me. Okay? If that's what you've come here for, if you're coming to me for medical or science advice, you've come to the wrong place, wrong channel, wrong show, wrong person. I'll put it as clearly as possible. If you take medical advice from me, you will die. Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But we'll bring it back to this guy now, because he acts like he actually can give you advice on medicine and science, because he holds all the truth. He is the all great Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Our life expectancy is 3 times what it was 150 years ago. Science matters.
Of course
in this.
it does.
But sometimes you don't sound that way. That's
No,
what worries me.
You're the guy who doesn't understand why the NBA team can't beat the Lakers. You're supposed to be the scientist, and you couldn't even admit that. This is not your field. You're not a doctor.
No, but I'm a scientist. Excuse me. No, hold on.
That's not a doctor.
I'm a scientist.
When I get a goiter on Uranus, I'll call you.
If you don't want to get a vaccine, that's like walking around with a baseball bat, but if you hit someone with it, that's bad. There's a social contract to not infect other people.
I don't know if he's supposed to make science and medicine and doctors look good, but I mean, if I'm part of that community and he's supposed to be my spokesperson to make us look good in a broader audience, I'm saying, hey, could we call in the righty from the bullpen, please? Could we stop, please? You're not helping. You're not helping at all. One more exchange that happened here, and this caught Elon Musk's eye, of course, because it had to do, this is supposed to be this guy's wheelhouse, right? Space, planets, the cosmos, exploration, and the topic of exploration to Mars came up. And say what you will about SpaceX, but the idea of colonizing Mars has been motivating Elon Musk since before he started SpaceX, and certainly it was the impetus for starting SpaceX. This is his main goal right now. And by creating a corporation that focused all of its attention and all of its goals on this singular human achievement of colonizing another planet, it has allowed SpaceX to revolutionize rocket technology and the aerospace industry. SpaceX is the single most important aerospace corporation in existence today. It has completely broken new ground on reusable rockets, on space exploration. I'll put it this way: Boeing, which I'm told was like for decades they were the ones, right? They were the, you want to send someone to the moon, you got to get Boeing on board. Boeing sends up 2 astronauts to the International Space Station on their brand new capsule, and they were stranded there. They couldn't get them back. It took SpaceX to fly a rocket up there to retrieve them and save their asses. So no matter how you feel about Mars and going to Mars, traveling to Mars, landing a man on Mars, and colonizing Mars, regardless of whether that you think that's a good idea or not, the mere goal of getting to Mars and doing what Elon Musk wants to do has been the driving force behind SpaceX becoming an absolutely revolutionary company when it comes to aerospace. They are launching more satellites into space on a daily basis than any company in the history of our planet. So that's all a net positive, right? Nope. Not if you're this guy. Not if you're politically motivated. Not if the people who are paying your checks and paying your grants and paying your research and paying your piper comes from the political left. Because all you need to know about Elon Musk right now is that he's not a man of the left, and so therefore he's the problem. Watch this exchange.
How soon could Elon Musk realistically send humans to Mars?
My read of the history of space exploration is such that we do big, expensive things only when it's geopolitically expedient. We feel threatened by an enemy. For him to just say, let's go to Mars because it's the next thing to do, what does that venture capitalist meeting look like? So, Elon, what do you want to do? I want to go to Mars. How much will it cost? $1 trillion. Is it safe? No, people will probably die. What's the return on the investment? Nothing. That's a 5-minute meeting. And we end up paying him to use his spaceship to get to Mars. I don't see it happening until governments judge that it's geopolitically in our interest. Somebody has to pay for it, and just being interested in something is not the same thing as paying for it. What did you do to Earth that now you got to go to Mars?
Sort of a sad commentary, not just on the people at that panel and the audience, but on this country. That guy's a joke. He's an embarrassment, and he's supposed to represent science. Have you ever seen anyone so incurious and beholden? Think about what he said. Scientific discovery and space exploration is only viable or worth doing if the government sees a motive in doing it, if the government decides that there's value in doing it, because all he cares about is who's paying for it. I would say that Galileo would be weeping right now, or Isaac Newton, or Madame Curie for that matter, but actually this goes well beyond science. The idea of space exploration has less to do with Galileo as it has to do with Christopher Columbus or Magellan. This is about the human spirit exploring and discovering. And I feel like I'm doing the intro for Star Trek, but you get my point. How sad is it that this guy represents, to so many children and so many Americans for that matter, the epitome of scientific thought in pop culture America, when he doesn't think anything is worth doing unless the government decides to bankroll it? And yes, I know Christopher Columbus had Queen Isabella over in Spain to bankroll his plan with his 3 little boats. But yes, someone has to pay for these things, but that's not really the entirety of the point. The point is, as you're figuring out your way to get to Mars, you end up discovering so many incredible things that will benefit mankind. I mean, when we did the first trip to the moon back in the 60s, we all got tang out of it, didn't we? That's not a good example, but you get my point. Velcro. That's a good point. We all got Velcro because of the first NASA space program. So I am in favor of SpaceX. I'm in favor of exploration to Mars. I want to see it in my lifetime. And thank God Elon Musk has a little bit more vision than that moron.